Going live. I'll let you guys know.
So as soon as you go live, I'm going to start the music.
Here we go. 5, 4, 3, cue.
Yeah. Got that down pat. That's awesome.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. So what do you want to do? You want to talk about the usual coronavirus? Of course we're going to talk about the coronavirus.
Yes. Hot topic right now.
Yeah.
I also would like to talk about why my internet is so slow.
Shaw.
If somebody works for Shaw out there or has an idea of what's going on, literally just ran a speed test and I'm paying top dollar to getting 13.1 downloads with a 0.4 upload. So when we're shooting our live videos, it's like it's terrible.
I know.
So
I feel like everybody's suffering though. I mean, just more people online, right? It's got to work that way, no? But you'd figure all the technology we have now, why don't you just open up the highways, open up those bandwidths.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
Especially don't make us pay for it now. Just give us more.
Yeah.
And I know that they can because they were trying to sell me on faster internet about 6 months ago. And I just didn't buy it because I just didn't see the value. I guess maybe now it would work, but don't hold back, guys. Shaw, if you guys are into that business, just open it up for everybody right now. This is all we got is the internet, so don't charge us for everything, all right?
And you know what? That's kind of a hot topic, and I want to talk about that on Friday. So we have some small business owners where we're going to talk on. I don't have all the answers. I'm in contact with my accountant every day, Olison and Jones. Quick shout out. And we're trying to figure out how we can get some type of relief. So where it stands right now, if any of the people that I still have employed, I could potentially get 10% back as an earning up to, I think, a max of $1,300 or whatever biweekly. I'm not sure what it is.
Okay.
That's all I know right now. There is no like kind of rent relief or, I don't qualify for EI. So I think in these circumstances, they've got to kick back something. Yeah. Right. Like, I don't know if I would collect it. Right. Because I'm still obviously trying to figure out ways to make an earning. But
I think it's the rent. That's something that we should start making a little noise about.
Yeah.
It all comes from the top down, right? How would you possibly be able to stay in business if you cannot have your doors open?
Yeah, within a 24-hour span, I already know of 2 businesses that are closing down.
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention their names, but I already know 100% they're closing down.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I feel like there's going to be a big shift.
Yeah.
And actually, I was talking to Money Mike yesterday. He's one of our guests. He's also our sponsor from Couture Capital. And having a conversation with him, he kind of was a big reality check, and he was saying a lot of people are going to just be done. That's it.
Yeah.
Even with rent relief.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not your only bill.
Yeah.
You still got to pay, and TELUS and Shaw and your heating, they might defer it. They might let you not pay the whole bill, but they're coming for you. You know what I mean? So it's tough all around, especially with the unknown. At least if we had a date, at least if we knew, we could say, how long can we struggle for?
This is gonna go on for if they're saying 30 days. The virus is still going to exist. They're just going to have a vaccine for it or whatever is going to happen.
I hope.
But it's still going to linger. Like, a lot of people are not going to want to come out of their houses, right? Yeah. So, like, we do a lot with people that are introverted, right? They deal with a lot of anxiety. And so for them to go back out into society again, it's going to be a grand reopening for these guys. And they're going to wait. Everybody's going to be waiting. I'm not going back to work yet. I'm not going back to the gym yet. So I'm not going to go back to getting Botox, or I'm not going to, it's just going to take time, right? And so it's got to, in my opinion, obviously this is a that conversation to be had on Friday, but it's got to be a collective approach, right? Like, I like that the banks are deferring your mortgage payments, but they're still charging you the interest and full interest.
I know.
Right? But yet
it's predatory.
They're getting major reliefs on their end. So it's like, well, if you're getting released, like, if you don't, thanks for
bailouts.
I don't have to pay for my house, but I still have to pay for your interest. Like, shoot that interest down to minimal. At this point in time, it's what is your minimal cost, right? What do you need just so that you can pay your bills, you can feed your family, you can keep your doors open, and then just make it a blanket statement all across all businesses, meaning the landlords have to say, okay, for me to be able to pay what I owe on my bank, and then, you know what I mean? And then it stems down. The bank is giving landlords relief right now from what I've heard earlier. And so it's like, okay, so if you're getting a relief from the government as a landlord, why wouldn't you give your tenants a relief? You know what I mean? That should all just trickle down.
It should, and you shouldn't have to ask for it or fight for it. It should already be here. There should already be a letter saying, "Hey, just so you know, You know what I mean?
My
Power
one
through,
property
guys.
manager, I can't get a hold of him through text or email. The only thing that he sent me over from Stevenson Management was that, hey, here's a link to a loan that you can get. I'm not getting a loan.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not getting a loan so I can go into debt. I'm not in debt right now. I've never taken out a business loan, okay? When I opened up this location, that came out of straight earnings, right? I never went in debt. I don't want to go into debt, right? And I'm not going into debt to pay your bill. You know what I mean? Like, so that you can live in your big house. And you know what I mean? And so, like, if you're getting a relief, give me a freaking relief.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, normally, at any other time, I'd be like, you know what, RJ, you should have planned for this. This is everybody's responsibility is to be prepared for this. But something like this, you couldn't have planned for this.
Yeah, there's a quarantine.
You know what I mean? Like, the whole world, it's not even like it's Winnipeg or Canada.
Yeah.
The whole world is shut down.
Yeah.
The trickle effect is huge.
Yes.
So never mind the,
it's pandemic.
It's pandemic.
Worldwide.
Will we find a cure? Probably.
Yes.
But just think about how it's just like if a ship is moving through water and you get that little ripple. That little ripple goes forever. You know what I mean? It's a little ripple, but it keeps on going.
Yeah.
So we're in for the fight of our life. I feel like, especially small business owners, because we have nothing. I mean, we don't have EI.
Yeah.
What relief do we really have? The government's not going to write us a check.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks every business owner is a millionaire because we own businesses, but.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I own a business, and I posted yesterday, my business is at 10% of what it was last year at this time for the month of March.
Yeah.
It's really low, and I know a lot
we're
of...
at 50%.
At 50?
We're at 50%. No, we're not. We're well below that because we had a half a month, right? So, yeah, we're definitely not going to hit any.
Yeah, I mean, but that's crazy numbers. I mean, if you have a decrease of 10% in a business, you're concerned.
Yeah.
20%, you're starting to make some big changes.
Yeah.
You hit it down to 90% or 50 or 40.
Yeah.
Uncharted territories. I don't know. I'm not even sure. You know what I mean? So we're going to see how we're going to do it. But moving forward, we're going to bring those business owners in. Maybe we can collectively Friday. Yeah.
Friday, guys, go friend me. And I made a post. Let's see who's going to be available. I know we got a couple realtors that jumped in there, some other small business owners. So like, this is your opportunity to get to voice your concern, because if you're not talking, nobody's listening. And you know what I mean? It can't just be me and Rick, right? Like we need other business owners to step up and not hide, and then hope that they're going to get these released, because it's not going to happen if you don't make. You know what I mean? The squeaky wheel gets the grease.
You bet. And we're not going to come across as complainers. We're going to solve problems. You know what I mean?
We're going to strategize and work together.
And collectively, as a voice of small business, maybe we can actually make some kind of changes. But yeah, I'm really pushing for some rent relief for the businesses out there. Like, it's got to happen. That's got to be number one.
Yeah, I feel like in Winnipeg too that there's not a lot of collaboration, right? So like a lot of businesses aren't like you and I, where we collab and then we collab with. Like, there's not a lot of every business in Winnipeg is kind of like, this is my bubble. Everybody stay out of my territory, right? And I feel like that's how all the businesses. I'm probably the only gym owner that talks to other gym owners in the city.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that because I talk to them and they don't talk to anybody, and I connect them.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's a Winnipeg thing. I feel like that's collectively just a world thing. I feel that's just how business are. And you know what? Businesses don't want to share anything because they don't want to give away their secret sauce or their secrets. But I believe I see it. And following your lead over the many years, opening up and being a little bit honest and collaborating with other businesses, it's a good way to do it. You know, and you learn a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's why we have like people's banners, right? Like we're supporting them, right, as much as we possibly can, right? Like Synoptic, they do great things for us, right? And their foam installation, they're a great business that we want to work with, because they're maybe not a business that is. We don't have to just work with chiropractors and nutritionists, right? Because we're in the fitness industry. All of our people require somebody to go and look at their HVAC, right? So if you don't know what HVAC is, basically your heating and cooling. So if your hot water tank blows, or if your furnace goes down, right? Like, I just call up the guy that I've kind of seen an ad, but I've had multiple companies come and look at my furnace, and I've had multiple pricing, right? Yeah. And so it's like, for us, who is our go-to in an industry, right? We want to send you the best realtor, somebody that's going to be top-notch service. We want to be able to send you the best accountants, right? Like Olson and Jones have been great to me. Like, I can get a hold of I text Tanis.
Yeah, they're all vetted.
Yeah.
These are just people that just pay us, and we don't know who they are. We know them, and they sweat here with us.
They're real people. They work out with us, and they give us all the relevant content. So if I have anything like I need to know, and I just don't. The hardest part about doing business with anything is buyer's remorse, right? As soon as you buy something, you immediately have buyer's remorse, right? Like I go to McDonald's,
Well, hope not, but
I buy an iced coffee. I'm like, you know what? I probably could have just made this at home.
Yep.
You have that buyer's remorse. It's 100%. Now, when you work with people that you know, like, and trust, then that basically eliminates that. Because you can, if I can know that, okay, Rick Manchur is getting me the best pricing on hats, then I don't got to worry about it. Like, then Rick, yeah, sure, man. If he says, hey, there's a price increase, man, I'm sorry. You know, it's across the nation. I got to ask you for $1 more or $2 more. Then it's like, well, okay, I'm not going to dispute that because I trust his word. And it's the same thing when somebody comes in and looks at your furnace, and they're, you know, it could be the difference between them saying you need a complete replacement at $10,000, and hey, guess what? They have all these like loans that you can get through Hydro and all this and that, or they're just saying, oh yeah, that's just a part. That's just let me flip the switch on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This is all you need to do. Yesterday I had a guy come through my house. I guess we had 2 base heaters going like in the same kind of switchboard, and it shut it down. I went downstairs and, you know, did one of these things, and like, it's not working. Hey man, can you come look at it? Guy came down, he wiped down my house, right? Did everything. He's like, you know what, honestly, RJ, I just got to teach you how to, like, I guess you got to go all the way. There's like a special breaker for those plugs, and then you got to go all the way. He's like, I don't know, man. Just give me whatever. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was he was in and out in 5 minutes. So.
It's not necessarily. I mean, price is the price. It's always important, but you know, like we've had this conversation many times. It's like Olufsen and Jones. What they charge us, but that's fine. They're buying gym memberships. They're talking about us. There's the value there. You know what I mean? So it's okay for them to make money because. We're making money off them. They're making money off us, and we're trying to talk about each other's businesses. And I feel like that's where the value is. So we're trying to build this business community with what we're doing with the podcast. We have Fit Club Media. We got Jerome on board, and I guess just a little plug for us. So if your company is looking for marketing, like promotional videos or business videos, if you want help with online marketing, this is the guy right here. Anyways, this is what we do. We can do drone shots, all kinds of great stuff. Anyways. Let's move.
Well, we'll bring you into today's times, right? Like the days when I talk to businesses and I say, well, where do you get your leads from? Oh, well, word of mouth. Like, okay, so you know that well's gonna dry up, right? And it's like you might be doing well, and it's like, okay, you could be doing well, but you can be doing like double that with no extra effort, and you can be making double money but still doing the same amount of work.
And it's amazing how many people have not adopted social media. Just not at all. It's not even 50%. It's not even 25%, you know, and the more I do this, and I was the same guy. You know, it was tough for me to post anything. Everybody has a Facebook page or a business Facebook page because you have to. You know,
not everybody.
Well, I guess not everybody.
Helped out a company build their Instagram page.
Let's say 90% do, but I'd say that 100% of those 90% do nothing effective. They might post something on there just because I got to post something on Facebook, but the power of social media is something that I never understood, but I certainly get it now. Like if you were to say, where do I get all my business from? I've had clients for many, many years, but now it's my Instagram. Those stories, Instagram stories, that's where I get a lot of people. So that's why you're going to see me posting a lot of stuff on there. And trying to be authentic as possible, too. I just don't want to be fake when it comes to it. So, like right now, I'll put it out there. Business is slow. It's a little bit down. Everybody else is, too. But hopefully people can relate to me, and then moving forward, when everybody has money again, make sure that they give us a shot.
Because CSP can do it.
Oh, man. Anyways, working through adversity. So we won't get too much more into the business side because we're going to talk about that.
I think that'll be a great conversation on Friday.
But the title of this podcast is Working Through Adversity, and specific to drug addiction. And I'll tell you why I want to talk about this. So the other day, right before we had to shut the gym down, we had a motivational speaker in here. And sorry, buddy, I can't remember your name.
Joey
Crampton. That's what it was. Anyways, I wanted to participate. I wanted to see how he did it because I'm trying to get into the public speaking thing, and I'd like to one day be up on stage talking to people about something. So when he asked me a question, I jumped right in there. And it was just about, I think it was even dealing with adversity. And we partnered up with somebody, and we had to tell them something that we were working through and how we were going to work through it, right? Okay. And so I guess it was related to present time, right now. I just decided I was going to take it back to a point in my life where I was dealing with drugs, and I was, addicted to cocaine. So, and by the way, moving forward, there's going to be some adult content and adult words being said. So if you're watching this with your kid, maybe get them to go shovel the snow or something. Might not be an appropriate time for the kids to watch, but it's not going to be too bad. anyways, so dealing with it, it was one of the challenges of my life, and I'm not gonna dive too much into it because eventually I want to be able to tell the story in depth. But I'll tell you the lowest point in my life, which is sort of where I made that switch to becoming the degenerate junkie that I was, into turning into the man that I wanted to be, into the husband that I wanted to be, and then ultimately not even knowing, but eventually a fitness coach as well, right?
Yeah.
So there was a time when I was sitting in my house, and you got to remember that in addition to doing, I was also selling, okay?
Okay.
When you sell, you're always busy. There's always somebody at your house.
Yeah.
You're never alone.
All hours of the day.
All hours of the day. It's amazing. And for whatever reason, this is the one time that I had nobody there. Nobody was there. Nobody was calling, nothing. And I was all by myself, but I had just re-upped, and I had this whole pile of cocaine sitting here, right? And I remember thinking, and I had this conversation out loud to this. And I'm saying, don't do it. Like, don't do it, Rex. Just go to sleep, man. This is your night. You finally got a night. No one's bugging you. Nobody's here.
Okay.
And ended up doing a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, you made a mistake. You can power through. Just don't do it. And the phone's still not ringing, right? I had no reason to stay. I had no motivation to stay up. I had every reason to go to sleep. Anyways, the long and the short of it is about 12 hours later, that whole thing was gone. All of it. And if you have ever done that before, you're thinking to yourself, liar, bullshit. You would have died. And I'll be honest, I can't believe I didn't. I don't even know how I survived it. My heart was ready to explode. It was like the worst time of my life. And if you've ever done this before, the worst thing in the world is watching the sunrise after a whole night of doing that. And I remember just feeling so depressed and so disgusted with myself. And I had, like, this controlled me. And I realized at that point that this 100% controlled me. And I remember phoning my guy and saying, that's it. Don't let me have this anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not that that was the day where it all ended. It was a very slow progress moving forward. But I just find that, and the reason why I'm telling this now is because when I was having that little roundabout with Joey there, when I was telling that story, one of our members started tearing up and crying.
Yeah.
So I said, is this something you guys would want to hear? And everybody was like, absolutely. Because they immediately related somehow, right? So whether they're dealing with it through themselves or whether, and I feel a lot of people have it in their life where they have an addicted partner, father, whatever, and so they have to live that life parallel to them, right?
From the other perspective. Yeah.
And I can tell you this, addiction turns you into the worst human being in the world. And you can be one of two things. You can either strong arm it, you can cut that person out, forget about it, which is the way that I recommend, or you can try to mother them to death or enable them by, trying to be nice and trying to work through it. But you're dealing with a very unreasonable human being who's not thinking clearly. And once the drugs got their hooks into you, you're no longer the person that you once were. So you might have been the greatest son. You might have been the greatest daughter. You could have been the greatest business partner. But once that drug takes a hold of you, all you think about is that drug. So anyways, so working through the adversity was a big challenge. It was all about my 50% rule.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So the amount of drugs that I did back then, and it wasn't just that. There were several other things as well that I was consuming. In addition, I was drinking alcohol at the same time. I was smoking cigarettes at the same time. And that wasn't just the only drug that I was doing. So I was forever trying to get myself up, and then I was bringing myself down, and then getting it up and bringing it down. And it was just the most horrible existence. And what I also realized is that after that night that I was by myself, I realized just how lonely I was in the world. You know what I mean? When and I also had a stake in a nightclub at the time, right? So you can imagine a 31-year-old guy who's got all the money in the world. I've got the best drugs in the world. I've got
the best bar.
The best the best bar in the world. And that party always came back to my house. So you can imagine, if you know Hugh Hefner or Dan Bilzerian, I mean, this is the lifestyle that I lived. So to most dudes, it's like, yes, why would you complain about this?
Exactly.
But you really realize quick that nobody's there because they love you. They just love everything that you're bringing to the table, right? So that was kind of my low point in my life, and that was what was that? Probably 6-7 years ago, and it was one of those things where I really feel like I didn't die. And because I didn't die, I had to do something better. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I feel like I should have been, the amount of drugs that I consumed that day. So anyways, working through adversity, and you know what it is? And so my wife and I, and she stuck with me through that whole time. And in addition to that, I was also fat. I was probably on my way to getting fat. I'm trying to think exactly where I was. I certainly wasn't in the shape that I am now. But, so how do you work through it? right? So that's how I work through some adversity. Everybody has some adversity. Maybe you can share with the world something that maybe you had to deal with growing up, maybe in your 20s, maybe now in your life. What's something that you've had to really power through to build this awesome business? Because not a lot of people can build this business. You know what I mean?
So for me, it was seeing a lot of what I didn't want to be. Do you know what I mean? And so like I've dealt with I'm dealing with that. Exactly what you said, where the person that you think they were, they're no longer. And you still, like, your bleeding heart looks at that person, right? So I have like a relative that's dealing with all this stuff. And as much as I feel guilt or feel that, like, because this is my thing, I'm a God-given guy, right? And it's like, what should I do in this situation? And it's come to the point where exactly like that. And that was like kind of a breakthrough that I probably hit around maybe 3-4 years ago, where I just said, you know what, listen, I can't be responsible for you. I can't be being your bailout every single time, because I realize that this is enabling you, and it never gets better. It only gets worse, right? And then ever since I did that, I was able to just really open up and live my own life, right? And so for like my son, right, I think about all the bad habits that I have, and I want to be open and transparent with him, but there's a lot of things I don't want him to take on that I've probably gone through personally, and I try to be that leader, the transparent leader. I'm not saying I'm going to be perfect. Do you know what I mean?
Sure,
I still have things that I do in my life that I don't 100% agree with, right? And it's something, but at the same time that I don't want to live this this fake life for him, right? But at the same time, I want to be the best version of me, right? And so that's one of the things. Is like if I feel like I'm letting you down, then I will completely change my life, right? And so just letting go of that, and just like, this is no longer, I can't control your life, right? I can only do the best thing for me. And I'm not saying I'm going to be greedy and all this and that, but me doing these things for you is not helping me to help you, right? So like, if you need to go live on the streets for a little while, then that's exactly what needs to happen. And it's unfortunate, you know what I mean? Like, there's stuff that happens in the social media world that I'm super embarrassed by, you know what I mean? So and it's just like, I don't want it, like, but I got to understand, hey, like, then this is why we do these, right? This is who I am. I grew up in the North End. Do you know what I mean? My parents are not together, right? There's, I don't want to put their relationships on blast, but there's a lot of things that I deal with on the backside that it's like, people think I live this perfect life. I drive a Mercedes. I got a big car. I earned all of that. Do you know what I mean? And I came from nothing. And I still work through all those things that a lot of people think, you know what I mean? I don't have that squeaky clean life, right? Like, I still got the bad boy in me, but I've had to work that out of me. Right? Yeah. And that's the whole thing, was like where you're talking through. There was a point in my life where I was going to the clubs a lot, and I was living two lives, right? So I had my gym life, right, where, I was training a lot of guys and didn't want anybody to know that I would go out and drink, but once, probably every, 3 months, I would come in with just a nice big fat shiner. Do you know what I mean? Because why? I get hammered, and I'm cocky, right? I'm dancing on tables and whatever, pouring bottles out on people's faces. And then, I didn't want anybody to know about that life. And so I was living two lives. And so I realized that which life is the life that I want to live, right? I would rather be proud of every moment of my life and be as transparent. That's going to help other people say, he's a guy that can get that done, right? Like, what are the elements of life that you want to focus on? And then how can I live those lives to the fullest, right? I want to live a life that I would be proud of. That would, one of my uncles, Dr. Padua, if you go around to any of the Filipino, people that are probably in their, 60s now, they know him. You know what I mean? They're just like, oh, Dr. Padua, Dr. Padua. One of the biggest things that makes me proud, that kind of makes me feel all warm and fuzzy, is when I'm sitting around with family or friends, and they're like, man, every time I bump into somebody, they hear my last name, they go, do you know RJ?
Nice.
And I love that, because you know why? Because do you know RJ for the good? And now I'm like, back then it was like people knew me, like people didn't even know I had a job. You know what I mean? Because I hid it so well, right? I never put anything on social media because I didn't want, right? I wanted to do that life, and I went through that that life, and I came out of that. Like, there were some really scary times of going to the bars and traveling, and you know, we got kicked out of a hotel room in Cancun like within our second days. Like, I was that delinquent. You know what I mean? And so now it's like, you know, I want people to, when they say my name, that it's something like, you know, your legacy is gonna live on, and that's kind of what I'm looking to, is to leave a legacy that my kids are going to be proud of.
You know, you mentioned, and it comes back to me as well. So you mentioned that when you were younger, or not even that much younger. So you had the gym.
10 years ago.
You had the gym.
Yeah.
So you wanted
no
to be
gym. I had no gym. I was still in the basement.
Well, you're in the basement. So you had NLT.
Yeah.
So, but you were, you know, you had people, right? So you had a business. So you wanted to be Coach RJ.
Yeah.
But then at night you wanted to be Party RJ.
Yeah.
And then were you married at that time, or you were about to be? But you were with Neri, right?
No.
Oh, you weren't.
No.
Okay.
28. I'm 37 now. 28 is when I went all out.
Okay.
28 till about 30 and a half. I met Neri when I was about 30 and a half, 31, yeah.
But it's hard to live those lives. Like, I remember, you know, I had to be the bar owner, which is still a business owner, but of course you want to be, you know, the party guy. Then I had to be the drug guy. And I, you know, there's cool aspects to it. So you're trying to be the best drug guy you can. But then I also had CSP, and I've had it for many, many years. So then I'd have to somehow wake up,
snap out
put on my CSP hat, and somehow like communicate with, you know, business owners and event planners, and I was just like googly-eyed the whole time. Like, it was the hardest. It was so draining trying to be everything.
Yeah.
And I just realized that once I stopped hiding all these different things, and I guess you didn't even stop. I stopped, you know, focusing or putting value on the bad things and putting value on the good. It makes life a lot easier. You can actually breathe again, you know, when you don't have to wear 15 different hats.
Yeah, you can narrow your path.
Yeah, and you can't be credible in this if you're doing this, even though you want to be. You know what I mean? Like, you should. But, anyways, you built a great business, considering all the things that you've had to go through as well. And I know, like, there's stories. We won't put it out onto social media here, but there is some adversity that you've had to deal with. Some probably a little bit more than others. And now we're dealing with it now through this coronavirus. But let's take a step back. Let's talk about the whole father thing. So you were talking about being, you know, a great dad, or teaching by not example, or you learned basically by, or what not to do by seeing, right? Okay.
There's a lot I learned, so I'm not trying to put you on blast, Dad.
Yeah,
but there's also quite a bit that I learned that I should not do.
Yeah, hey, it's straight up, Mom. I've learned lots of things not to do by watching you do them, but I've also learned a lot of things to do by watching you. And I think that's fair. I don't think anybody should be offended by that, because nobody is perfect. How would you know? No, I'm not a parent, and I lost my father when I was 4 years old to addiction. He was alcoholic. So I grew up with a single mom, rock star mom,
trying to do dual hats.
Yep, trying to do dual hats. So when I listen to a man like you who has kids, and I'm always curious to know the fatherly side. Like, how do you feel as a dad? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with your kids now? What is your priority for Jet and Kai? Like, what are you trying to do?
You know what? It's that I actually had this conversation with Jet, and people, if you would have rewound probably when I was 22, 23.
Jet's the oldest boy.
Yeah, it would have been all about sports, right? You're going to be the best athlete. We're going to get you whatever you need, and da-da-da. Now I'm just like, I just want him to be a leader. You know what I mean? Like, you can be a leader and follower at the same time, but like, I want you to be the example. So whatever it is that we're going to give you all the life skills. So like, when he gets older, one of the things that he's going to do is I'm going to put him with Rick for a full day, and he's just going to work with Rick. And like, Rick, give him every dirty job and then work him up to the top job. You know what I mean? How long is that going to take you? And so like, that's where he's going to go. It's like, what school is he going to go to? Well, I want to put him in a school where he's going to learn skills. You know what I mean? I don't need to put him into the high-end school because they have the best education. Is he going to go to university? I don't know. I want him to have life skills and then figure out, probably not, you know. He's like, I'm an entrepreneur. But if he wants to go be a doctor, or he wants to go be a dentist, or whatever
that's when you have to go to school,
that's
for
sure. He
yeah.
wants to be, but he's got to learn that everything is a business. It doesn't matter if you work for somebody, or if you work for the government, you're still a business. Because if you don't have value in there, they're just going to cut you. And it's happened to lots of people, like a lot of cushy government jobs, they get cut. And so it's like, the number one thing that he's got to realize is that you got to be always sharpening your skills, always learning new skills, and then create value in the world. And if you can do that, then you're always going to have a place for this. So like, if this were to all end, I would figure out a way to create this value. Whether we get people in here and we host a motivational sermon every single day. People are going to need that through tough times. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm going to be a preacher, but I'm just saying that we're going to have like this kind of stuff, and people might join us live because they need to be around us.
Yeah. I can tell you this, just even, that's really far, you're pushing the envelope with your kid. I mean, again, with me not having a father, I can tell you just being in his presence is really what a kid needs. You being the guy that you are, I mean, your kid's probably going to run the world eventually at some point, but that's all in fact, one of the things that I'm looking for and what I've been on a hunt with, you got to remember, he died at 4, and this was back in 79, all right, because I was born in 75. So there was no cameras, right? There might have been. And my dad was a rock star. He was in a band. And, I mean, if you were getting married or you were having a social, his band played. He was a small-town guy, but, back then that was what it was. And he actually used to play on TV through, I think it was, whatever CKY is, whatever it was back in the day. And they would play to a camera, and it would be projected into people's homes, but they never recorded it. It was just like a live stream. Yeah. So I don't even know what my father sounds like. I don't even know how he walks. I don't know if he said stupid jokes. You know what I mean? I would love to just see what my father looks like. How does he walk? Does he walk like me, like a duck? Or, you know what I mean? So anyways, just the importance of your role into Jet. I'm always curious to know how people plan on kind of, what's the priority when you're trying to raise a kid? So that's why I always ask these questions. It's always interesting to me.
You know what? And parenting is a tough thing, because one of the things I don't want him to be is a bully, right? Like I don't want him to be pushing his way through things. And so when we try to get them ready, we negotiate, but sometimes you got to be firm. It's like every day is like going into a battle room with this guy. Jen was here yesterday, and we were trying to leave, right, Jen? We were trying to leave, and he's running around. I don't want to go, and I don't want to go. And it's like I don't want to bribe him to come. Like, I'll give you candy, or I don't want to trick him. Do you know what I mean? Like, and so it's like you got to really think through what you do with your children moving forward, because just like handing them the remote and why don't you go watch TV, right? Because I don't want to deal with you for 6 hours during this this outbreak or whatever. It's like you really have to think of every thing that you can do, because he's going to grow up to be that person, and then he's 3 right now, so whatever I kind of do and don't do for him like right now is going to trickle down to when he's like 5, and when he's actually growing a personality when he's 8. You know what I mean? And then he's 12 and he's going to hate me. You know what I mean? I don't want it to be like that, right? Like I used to just want to fight my dad every single day when I was younger, right? And I feel like that's what builds a lot of relationships between me and guys like you, is that like me and you, we get into battles that me and Jerome don't get into. And that's because you're closer to my dad in my relationship than me and Jerome's relationship. And I work better with women because my mom, I've always had to, I'll listen to her. And that's why the best, and like you said, is putting that filter between me and the clients, is because I'm more of like, listen, we're doing 6 weeks of hardcore nutrition and dieting. What do you mean you fell off? Yeah. Like I don't have that empathy, right?
Yeah, lack of patience.
Empathy.
Empathy,
right? I just don't have it. And so that's why I learn empathy through my wife, through Jen, through Michelle. Like they're inspirational to me, of the evolution of where I want to be. And you have to break down your ego. I can be that hard-nosed, hardcore guy and like my way or the highway, or I can be open and listening and growing through that area.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that, though. I feel like that's why you have a Neri and I have a Jen, right? You have a lot of edge. She's a little bit softer, but I think that's okay. But sometimes people need the way you are, the way that I am. Would you teach your kid how to fight? Would you want Jet to know how to fight?
He's going to be taking martial arts, for sure. I want him to learn the skills that he's going to get into a fight. And if not, I'm going to make him and Kai fight. They're going to fight. You know what I mean? There's no way they're not going to fight. If not,
I'll hang out with your kids for that.
Or I'm not going to fight. Or I'm going to fight them. But it's going to be controlled fight, right? Like that's one of the things I like about hockey, is that it's a controlled fight, right? Or like MMA, not to that extent. I don't want them broken bones or anything, but they got to learn. And I don't think it's a skill that they'll ever really have to use, because I respect somebody that can negotiate too. I like both ends of it, right? Like I like the way that the Romans deal with it, where they're political, they sit around and debate it. But I also like the way that the gladiators do it, and the Vikings, right? Like we're gonna go to war, we're gonna kill you, we're gonna do this. But one of my favorite shows is Vikings, right? So Ragnar is my guy, right? That's Jet's nickname, Ragnar. That's my old nickname from him. And Ragnar is a guy that he gets in there with the politics, and he sees a greater good. Right, but he can also murk you. He can end you like within a second. Yeah. So don't go into battle with him. And that's kind of like
he's a visionary who can fight.
He's a visionary that can fight. And that's the true what I think is a leader. Oh, there's Darka. Yeah. Maybe talking about rent relief.
Bring her in here. Let's put a mic in front of her.
Yeah, we should.
Is she trying to get in?
No.
Yeah, you know what? I feel like knowing to fight, and this might be controversial. People like, when you say about bullying, I feel like the ones who bully are the ones who have that little no respect, and they really don't know how to fight. They've never been raised to understand that you shouldn't pick on people, but you should be the person that can kick someone's ass if you see that happening. You know what I mean? And I really feel that sometimes a good punch in the face can solve a lot of problems.
You know, and that's what it comes down to. Okay, you don't necessarily have to punch somebody. Yeah, but I'll tell you,
or sometimes necessarily you do.
This is like what's good about you is that you have no problem saying it to somebody. Right? Sometimes it needs a little bit of a filter, but sometimes if you're being a jerk, and there's a lot of times I do stuff and I don't realize I'm being a jerk. Right? Like I can be just grinding somebody. Like the other day, Hugo. What was it? Hugo is like, hey guys, I'm gonna, is it cool if I sit this one out? And I'm just like, never miss a Monday. Yeah. Don't be a wimp. You know what I mean? And so I kind of posted that after I realized, this guy's been going 6 days. He's not getting paid. Yeah. It's his only day off during the week. He's working his job at his other job. And so I was just like, yeah, man, like it's all good. And I had to come to that realization. So sometimes some people just need to be called out on their bull crap, right? Because you might not know it, but you could be like, me and you have had this discussion, Rick. It's not what you said; it's how you said it.
Oh, big time,
right? And it's like, and we got to understand that, and sometimes you need to be told that. And then it's up to us to make an adjustment, right? But sometimes you have to be told, like, no, this is not. Like, dude, no. Don't say that. There's a lot of times where I asked Neri, I said, hey, should I post this? Yeah. And she's like, I wouldn't. And I'm like, delete. The other day I'm like, should I do these workouts shirtless? Like I'm shredded right now. I want to showcase, keep me accountable. Both you and Jed said no. It's going to make you look egotistic. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. I'm like, I see it as, well, we're going to get more viewers and but I'm like, all right, I get it. That's not my business. That's not my long-term business vision.
That's the first thing that came to our mind. So that's probably what most people are thinking. We've heard that too. So, well, we really covered a lot there. Yeah. Where are we at here? Jerome, you got a time?
We have 5 minutes left.
You have 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't think. Let's recap. Okay. We talked about the memberships yesterday. We still got a lot of questions going on. Do you want to recap that one more time about the new prices?
So if you're not a part of our group, basically we have this enhanced accountability group where the hardest part about what's going on right now is somebody holding you accountable. Think about it. You get to roll out of bed whenever you want, and then you're going to eventually maybe do the workout. Right? And then it's like, and it's just going to get worse because we're going to be sitting at home. It's going to get worse. So now we have this enhanced accountability group called Jen's Accountability Group where you're going to get into there. So we're still going to be streaming the workouts live, but where you're going to create this value is by somebody making sure you're getting it done and being called out for not getting it done.
Absolutely.
We're tracking attendance, we're tracking photos, we're tracking everything, right? That's a full-time job, right? And so we're doing that to make sure that people aren't falling off. So it's not just for our current members. Our current members get first priority with it, but then we're going to be soon opening it up to outside members, right? And so that's number one. That's the pricing. So if our followers even care, the way that the membership's going to work, if you're on a biweekly, let Jen know, email north@fitclub.fit, and she'll put your current membership on hold so you don't lose your unlimited pricing or unlimited sessions, unlimited holds, and she'll put you on this new $65 biweekly membership until we reopen. The time up until April 1st or 30 days, we're going to extend that out on the back end, no charge, and then you're still going to get your unlimited. But if you want to switch completely over to this new pandemic membership, that's what we're calling it, then here's two upsides to it. Well, number one, it's cheaper. Number two is that we're going to continue this membership even when we open, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we're going to keep it. But the only difference between the two is that there's got to be some cuts. So if we're cutting our memberships by almost 40%, then, excuse me, what you're going to do is you're going to get access to 5 sessions a week, which is more than ample. You're a one-a-day guy. I'm a one-a-day guy. I like my 2 days off, right? Right now we're crushing it. We're going to go 7 days, but we just talked about how we're going to offload some of the coaches because we're all going to
be broken pretty soon.
Yeah, we're not 20-year-olds, like you know what I mean. Like we got to think about longevity of this, right? And so you're going to get 5 sessions a week. Yeah, and there are no holds. Right, because the biggest problem is people putting their memberships on hold for excess. And when you're gone for 2 weeks, the chance of you coming back is slim to none. Right, and so people need to jump on and be accountable right now because this could take 30 days. It's gonna take 30 days. Every gym is mandated 30 days. Doesn't matter. There's no shapes. There's no good life. There's no fit for less. None of that is gonna open up. Right, and if somebody's coming to your house and doing a private session, then that's very close quarters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With a person that's doing that with other people.
And 2 of those sessions is going to be a month here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's it. So, you know, if you're not in this group right now, Jen's accountability group, then you really need to get into it.
Awesome. All right, everybody's up to date. Podcast number 5. Thank you, RJ, for all the information. We'll see you tomorrow, 9:15.